Good people all, both great and small, read these lines penned by me. These lines were written by a man deprived of his good liberty, shut up in court consignment for this deed that I have done. And here I fear I must remain till my race on earth is run. My name it is Benjamin Deane, my age is 41. I was born in New Brunswick, near the city of St. John, close by the Bay of Fundy, where the seagulls loud do call as they rock with pride on the silvery tide as the billows rise and fall. I was raised by honest parents and brought up in the fear of God, but they have long been slumbering beneath that native sod. Side by side they're slumbering in that quiet cemetery as the willow weeps before the breeze way off the deep blue sea. And farewell to my native land, I never will see it more. No more I'll watch the billows break upon its rock-bound shore. No more I'll see those ships go by, sails as white as snow, bound for some port far o'er the sea before the winds that blow. When I arrived in Berlin Falls just 20 years ago, Berlin was not near as large as what that it is now. Men of every nationality, they were working there, for work was plenty, wages good, and each man got his share. The businessmen of Berlin were making money fast. I thought I would invest before the boom had passed. Buildings bought on Mason Street, and into business went. I ran a fruit and candy store, likewise a restaurant. My business proved successful, I did the right by all. Gained the favor of the rich, likewise the great and the small. To my surprise, before a year had fully rolled around, in glistening gold did I possess, 'twas near 2,000 pounds. The coming year I wed with one, the fairest of the fair. Her eyes were of a heavenly blue, and dark brown was her hair. Her cheeks were like the early rose, her form was graceful and fair, her step was like the early light, her breath was light as air. I alone I loved this fair young bride, she proved a prudent wife. Little did she ever think that I would take her life. The day I gained her promise, her hand to me she gave. It would have been better far for her had she went to her grave. She was raised by honest parents and raised most tenderly. Little did they ever think that she'd be slain by me. But as the years rolled swiftly by down on the heels of time, I found the fields of pleasure on to the fields of crime. 'Twas then I began my wild career, all for the thirst of gold. My buildings up on Mason Street for a goodly price I sold. Buildings down on Main Street I paid a handsome sum. I ran a free and easy house, went right to sellin' rum. My former friends of high degree my company did shun, but still I was contented in this life that I'd begun. Gold and silver like a brook came flowing into me. By glitters I was blinded, and the danger could not see. My wife, she often told me my steps I should retrace. She said, "Dear Ben, this path you're on leads to death and disgrace." Had I her warning heeded, I would not be here now, and she might too be living with no stain upon her brow. I soon began to associate with men of low degree. My business kept me constantly in their base company. I quickly went from bad to worse, did many a deed of crime that never will be brought to light in future years of time. Kind fortune that had been my friend began to frown on me. 'Twas then my eyes were opened, I could see my destiny. Dark clouds were gathering o'er me that with fury would soon break. I fain then would retrace my steps, but alas, too late. All I possessed in real estate to my wife it was made. Over in legal writing when kind fortune's smile did fade. But her regard and love for me did gradually grow cold, when she saw my heart and soul was bound with glittering gold. The storm it came, the house I built upon the sands did fall. With it my name, my wife and children, ill-got wealth and all. And on the verge of deep despair I saw them drift from me upon the tide of justice toward the sea eternity. And on my head a $40,000 bond was placed, to respect the laws of man I had so long disgraced. And then to add unto my many troubles that had come were 4 indictments that appeared for selling beer and rum. My wife by then had fled to one whose name I will not write. His character was blacker than the darkest hour of night. To persuade her to return to me was my whole intent, when to the place where she then dwelt my steps I quickly bent. I carefully approached the house, I opened the hall door, made my way to my wife's room, 'twas on the upper floor. The sight that there befell my eyes was burned into my mind, for on the bosom of a man my fair one's head reclined. The very fiends of hell it seemed my being had possessed. I drew a loaded pistol and I aimed it at her breast. When she saw the weapon, it was loudly she did cry, "For God's sakes, Ben, don't shoot me, I am not fit to die." I heeded Heeded not her warning, in a moment she was dead. For God's sake, Ben, you shot me, was the last word she ever said. The trigger of my pistol, it moved too quick or slow, or another man would have passed that day unto the fields of woe. The last time that I saw my wife, she was laying on the floor. Her long and wavy dark brown hair was stained with the crimson gore. The sun shined through the window upon her clay-cold face as the officers led me away from that polluted place. I have 2 daughters living there, orphans in a way. Should you chance to meet them, treat them kindly, I pray. Don't chide them for this deed I've done, for on them it will rest in future years, long after when I'm moldering in the dust. Come all young men, a warning take from this sad tale of mine. Don't sacrifice your life for the gold and silver kind. Let truth and honor be your guide, and you will find that you will climb the ladder to success and not be stained by deeds of crime.